Okay. I start us with a question. Do we love our children? Sounds like an illegitimate question, right? Well, I'm going to try and convince you otherwise. Essentially, as we go down generations, we're seeing that for the last two generations, people are making less money on an inflation adjusted basis. In addition, the cost of buying a home, the cost of pursuing education continues to skyrocket. So the purchasing power, the prosperity is inversely correlated to age. Simply put, as we get younger, we're taking away opportunity and prosperity from our youngest.
Let's stop right there for a second. Let's go back to that. So I need to turn these subtitles off, but you can kind of see the pre-tax income for each age group, right? And
Yep.
based on inflation, basically we're losing money each generation to where our income, our salaries are not equating to the amount that our grandparents had. We don't have the same amount of buying power. Like that's why back in the day, like people's grandfathers can have like multiple families and stuff. It was crazy. And like now, bro, like you could barely afford to have one family.
Oh, one
You know what
family,
I
right?
mean? So that's one of the things that I feel like it's hurting young people to where it's very difficult to even buy a house right now. As
Hmm.
a 25, 27-year old, 28-year old. Like back in the day, like our parents would have already bought their first house, probably already had kids.
Right.
I know a lot of people
Especially not
already do
mid
have kids.
20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially right now. And I think, this is a very true sentiment. Because especially like I said, with my experience, like I said, we've gotten a lot of different experiences over the past couple of years. So within the past couple years, I got a license as a financial professional. Right. So I'm seeing these type of statistics. I'm taught, I'm getting these type of numbers, right? Seeing these type of things day to day to day. But I think that, you know, first off, like, yes, this is very true, right? But I think the reason, the main thing that we need to understand as a generation, right, is exactly why it's kind of happening and why that's a fact, right, and why it's happening like that. So it's two things, right, that's going to eat up our income, right, no matter what goes on. You probably know this is taxes, right, and inflation. That's always going to be here, right? You can't do anything about it. Do you think taxes gonna get low? You think inflation gonna go down at all anytime
No,
soon?
man. And the crazy thing about it is that taxes weren't even supposed to be a permanent thing. They were only supposed to be used in times of war. And Abraham Lincoln was the first person to instill an income tax because he was trying to fund a war. He was trying to
Right,
fund the Civil War. And we had to tax the people so that we can fight and like fund it, because it
right,
wasn't an
right.
international war. To answer your question, I answered your question, but you could barely hear it on the recording. No, I don't think inflation or taxes are going anywhere. And just so people know, we are reacting to our own content, but whenever we recorded on Zoom, our faces weren't in the video, so we just recording it and revisiting it so y'all can see us.
Thanks for answering my question, bro. I appreciate you following up on
No,
that.
no problem, bro.
Because I was
So
sitting here like, dang, he didn't even answer my question.
it's crazy because I did, but I said it so quick
It
that
was a
the
quick
audio
yeah.
didn't pick up. That was supposed to go away after the Civil War, and it didn't.
And it just never did. So that's where it kind of like that's where the shit hit the fan. Basically, that's where it really started at for real, right? And so when you think about that, right, taxes and inflation, on average, taxes gonna be 3%, right? On average, every single year, right? That's the numbers, right? And then taxes gonna go up because there's always a war somewhere. There's always something internationally that got to get funded, right? We always got different things going in the country that they got to get funded, and then. I feel like once we understand a little bit more about how money works as a generation, right? Like it's just about playing the game at that point. Like it is what it is, but that doesn't make it impossible to go buy a home. It doesn't make it impossible to, figure out different ways to get the best rate of return and save like for retirement, things like that. But you just have to have an understanding, get educated, and you have to talk to the right people. You know what I'm saying? That comes with talking with people like like myself, who's a licensed financial professional, or just tapping in and really getting that insight. So this is a real true statement,
or it could just
and
be like picking the right career path,
that too,
Like look
that
at the
too.
incomes. Like there's career paths to where we can make more money than this. As long as you go to college for the right thing. But if we go to college for communications, no slight at like communications majors. If you got a plan to actually execute on that, or if you just go to college for general studies or like business, those aren't
Hmm.
guaranteed like six figures out the gate or like high income out the gate. But if you go into college for like a STEM field, or you get a very skilled trade or something like that, you can surpass this number easily, I think.
Right, right. Like
Hey, pause it
HVAC,
real quick.
people need. We always got.
You know what I realized? I said taxes are gonna be 3% every year. I meant to say inflation because I said taxes twice.
I knew
So
what
it's
you meant
really
whenever you said
it.
it. Yeah, I knew what you meant whenever you said it.
Yeah, but everybody don't know what I mean, so I gotta go back and correct
Yeah,
myself. That's why I was
facts.
reacting to it. That's why
Yeah,
I'm reacting to it.
I probably should have said something during the initial one, but I knew what you meant.
Right.
Real estate always got houses, so everybody gonna need a heating and ventilation, electricians, plumbers, right? Um, you know, all those different careers. So, like you said, it is about that as well, because a lot of people, especially us that that we've always been pushed, go to college, go to college, go to college, right? But I don't think we really understood until we really got into college, until we about to graduate, and really more so after we graduated and actually got out here in the world and understood that it's really important. If you are going to college, you have to really focus on whatever that career is going to actually be. You have to kind of keep in mind, what do you want the end goal to actually be, because you can't expect to go to, honestly, like say you get a psychology degree and expect you to come out making six figures. Because most people that are in that field, you have to go do additional school before you can even get close to even seeing that type of salary or seeing that
Facts.
type of base salary. Whereas, like say for instance, like we came out of school with engineering degrees, we don't need to graduate with a 4 year degree, and we have a better chance of making that six figure, or at least getting close to it, and then working our way
Right.
to that six figure out the gate. So that, it's a lot of different factors that actually play into it. But then it also just comes down to our really, truly, it really just comes down to our understanding of finances and how money works. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? At the end of the day. So really, people just need to focus on how to educate themselves, right?
Exactly.
Educate
Because you
themselves on
could
how
you can
money
make it,
works.
you can make that money and lose it, just making the wrong
Right.
financial decisions,
And
altogether.
that depends on everybody, and everybody's situation is different, which is why you gotta use your resources and seek help. Don't be afraid to seek help. Like
Yep.
that's the main thing. Like reach out to somebody that knows what they're doing. That's like having a coach, right? Like if you're trying to make it to the NBA, trying to make it to the league, everybody know you're gonna need some type of private training, some type of extra training, some type of strength and conditioning, some type of coaching, something like that. So you got to treat your finances and your career the same way. You look for that mentorship and look for that guidance, right, from people that know what they're doing or have at least had experience with what you're trying to do. So that way, it's not gonna completely eliminate the chances of failure or the chances of adversity, but it's going to increase your chances of success if you
Yep.
get the knowledge outright from somebody. And that's all you really trying to do. That's all we really need to do, right? Is get everything in that circle to be able to get that, increase our chance for success. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, let's get this thing back rolling. Let's see. Why why
Why you just breeze through that? Be like, yeah, let's get it back rolling.
it's funny
Oh,
because I'll listen to everything you were saying, but at the
like
same
yeah,
time,
let's keep it pushing. Yeah, let's
too
keep it
long.
pushing, bro. Yeah, that was kind of long-winded to what we was
Continues
trying
to
to do, bro.
skyrocket. So the purchasing power to prosperity is inversely correlated to age. Simply put, as we get younger, we're taking away opportunity and prosperity from our youngest. The social contract that is now no longer in place, and for the first time in the US's history, a 30-year-old is no longer doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. This is a breakdown in the fundamental agreement we have with any society, and it creates rage and shame. This is a breakdown.
Look at this graph. What's this graph saying? Let me see. So US percentage of 30-year-olds earning more than their parents did at 30. So They're saying in 1940 they had
About
like
85%,
90, yeah, like
90%.
90% of 30-year-olds were earning more than their parents. Now we down to like half,
Right.
which is very concerning, bro. And especially with the rate of inflation being at like 20% right now, and we not making more money than our parents were at 30. Like
Yeah.
we should be concerned about that.
Especially with the advances in technology and a lot of more opportunities than our parents actually had. And I think, at the moment, that's yeah, because like those things can change. Those things can, we should be getting better basically with the advancements that we made as a society, technology wise, opportunities, all that other good stuff.
But
But
like to me, when I see this data, like it makes me think there's a problem with like the education system or like the pipeline from getting your education to a career. Because why are we flowing people through this education system and then they get to the end of it and they're not making the amount that they need to be successful or to thrive or to, succeed in society? Like, I don't get it.
well, you got to think about it. Like I said, that comes down to the inflation and the taxes. Like you said, taxes are supposed to be eliminated, but that continues to go up with all these different things we have going on. And then as far as inflation, like I said, on average 3%, sometimes 4%, but on average 3%. But like in 2020, it was as high as 9, 10, 12%, right? And so think about we already behind the eight ball in terms of inflation because yeah, the cost of everything is going to go up, but our pay never increases. So that's number one, right? Our pay doesn't really increase at that same rate, or we may be getting, for those of us that are blessed to get those annual raises, because every job doesn't do that. We're just meeting that standard as far as keeping up with the inflation, right? So we're just meeting that threshold. But I feel like really, especially within these past 4 years with COVID, inflation was so high that now it's really hard for people to actually try to be able to catch up. Because at least coming back before COVID, it was at least the market wasn't like it was, right? But because of that, it's just affected it so much. But nothing happens overnight either. So this is something that's started from, like you said, back in 1940. So that was on a trend. That was already trending down from then. So yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, it's just about, how do we, like you said, create that pipeline, right? As far as getting more people into these higher paying jobs. What are those skill sets they need, right? What's those setups that they actually
But
need?
but like even if we take it another level further, because like let's think about what was going on in 1940 to where people were making more money than their parents at such a higher rate. And then why did we have this constant, consistent decline? As time went on, we passed more and more education bills, we passed more
Hmm.
regulations, policies, and formed different, groups and agendas to get to this point. And we were
Right,
supposed to be doing those things to correct this curve, but it sounded like we did things to maintain this trend,
right.
you know? So to
So that
me,
goes back to policies
yeah,
and what's
like
been put in place from the beginning. So that we got to do some history, some research
yeah,
on
like we need to
what's been
reverse
done.
engineer and figure out where we went wrong, because obviously the things that we've been implementing aren't working.
Right.
Like it might make more sense to go back to the way that things were, prior to us trying to formalize our education system by the government. It was more of we used to just do things based on the need of
Hmm.
the market, you know.
Right.
Like you'll have people who did mining, you had people who did construction, you had your plumbers, your HVAC people, you had your therapists and all of that, but they only did it if it was a need in their immediate area,
Right.
versus people going to these preset majors that these colleges provide and saying, hey, I just want to go into psychology because I like psychology. But there's
Mm.
no real market demand for it. We already have enough psychologists and therapists. Like we need
Right.
more millwrights, we need more pipe fitters, we need more
People with trades. We need more
yeah.
trades. Right.
So
Right.
I
Because that's constantly going on like that. We're always gonna need that.
right.
Like somebody got to do that. Like we haven't gotten to that point where technology is taking over like that. So you know what I'm saying? Like So that's true. Like just getting more into those trades that's on more high demand, I guess too. But I think it comes down, like you said, to the policies and things that we put in place. And as far as reverse engineering it, it may be a little, it may be because once things are kind of set, you got to have those people that's willing to go back that far
Yeah,
and look at that and change that. But especially older people, not just talking about the country, but let's talk about just older people in general. Once older people get to where they do, and there's a lot of people sitting like that in the Senate, in Congress, White House, all that. They set in their ways. This is the way the country been doing it. This is the way we're gonna do it. And every person that comes in every 4 years or every 8 years, depending on if they get voted on the second time, there's only so much that person can actually do. So this is where now the knowledge of the your civil knowledge needs to come in, right? And really people need to focus on like, okay, what's really going on with these laws that they be passing in Congress and the Senate and the House, because it has to go through them before it even makes it through legislation. And I think we got to focus more as a country on like really focusing on that. You see what I'm saying? And doing our part in terms of voting and voting that aspect too, right? And looking at what's going to be able to benefit us, especially from an economic standpoint. You know what I'm saying?
all right, yeah, let's get this thing rolling.
Them boys educated.
Nah, for real, we really dissected that one, bro. Off that little graph, bro. We really
Right.
dissected that.
Hey, he said, "Hold up, what's going on right?" That boy put his engineering degree to use.
Man, hold on, what's this graph really
What is
saying?
it? What is it really saying? Let's break it down for real. Right, that'd be like a math problem.
Society, and it creates rage and shame. As a result, people over the age of 55 feel pretty good about America, but less than 1 in 5 people under the age of 34 feel very good about America. This creates an incendiary. Righteous movements, cuts to our society end up becoming opportunistic infections because generally speaking, young people have a warranted envy, they're pissed off, and they're angry that they don't enjoy the same spoils and prosperity that were provided to our generation. A decent proxy for how much we value
All right.
righteous movements, cuts to our society end up becoming optional agreement we have with any society, and it creates rage and shame. As a result, people over the
We didn't talk about this one during the our initial Zoom meeting. I think it was just going so quick that we didn't even talk about it. But this is a pretty wild stat too, if you really look at it. So people above the age of 55 at 50%, they're proud to be an American. People from 18 to 34, only 18%, less than half of the percentage of this one, are proud to be an American. We
That's
don't
a
have
crazy
to,
stat.
yeah, we don't really have to break that down, but I just want to put that into perspective for people and like really understand what that's saying.
Yeah, because I realized we didn't even really talk about that for real until you just brought it up. Because I saw it and then we kind of looked at it and it was like, yeah, we're just gonna go to we're just gonna go to the next one. Because it's like you want to be proud of your country, but it's like you also got to look at what what's kind of there to be proud of, and you got to figure out why these people are not feeling proud to be American. Like, what does that cause? And who are these people that's saying that? Right? What's the demographic looking like from these statistics as well? Like, who's really saying that? Because then that'll give you an answer as far as that. But yeah, we ain't got to dive too deep in it, but it is kind of crazy that you an American and you can't really sit there and tell somebody, or 18, at least only people that would say, let's say 55.
Yeah.
Only people 55 and older can say, yeah, I'm proud to be an American. Because that might just have to do something with, that's the baby boomers for real. Like, that's the millennials and the baby boomers for real getting to that point. Right. That was able, like, yeah, like we took advantage of all this stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely proud to be an American. Well, it's like everybody else is like,
age of 55
yeah,
feel pretty
they're
good
like,
about
nah.
America, but less than 1 in 5 people under the age of 34 feel very good about America. This creates an incendiary. Righteous movements, cuts to our society end up becoming opportunistic infections because generally speaking, young people have a warranted envy, they're pissed off, and they're angry that they don't enjoy the same spoils and prosperity that were provided to our generation. A decent proxy for how much we value youth labor is minimum wage, and we've kept it purposely pretty low. If it had just kept pace with productivity, it'd be about $23 a share, but we've decided to purposely keep it low. out of reach. Median home price has skyrocketed relative to median household income. As a result, pre-pandemic, the average mortgage payment was $1,100. It's now $2,300 because of an acceleration in interest rates and the fact that the average home has gone from $290,000 to $420,000. By the way, the most expensive homes in the world, based on the...
I was about to say, can you stop that? Go back to that real quick.
Let's talk about that one. We just gonna speed past that because now they playing on my rent. You feel me?
Right.
This man said the median home price. Let's see. So
yeah, the median home price versus household income. Go back a little bit more because I think you can see it blowing up
right
a little bit. Yeah, right
bet.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, so median home price versus median household income. Okay, so you see 1985 was the last time where the income was above the home price to where you can, that basically is talking about affordability of housing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you see we had another huge gap, which was looked like 2008-ish or 2005-ish, where, we're kind of getting into the housing crisis around that time,
Right.
where people weren't really able to afford, the notes that they were having on them homes. And that's when you see this large correction right here when the housing market crashed in 2008.
Right.
And then it kind of slowly came back up. And then we had another dip right here, which is around the time that, we had COVID and all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you come back up, past that, and then now we're here where we are doubled the price for our housing from 2019 to 2024. That is insane, bro.
That's not a long. That's not a.
100%.
That's not a long period of time, bro. For that. That's what going back to what I was saying about that drastic change from COVID. Like
Right.
that's where the inflation of the housing, all that stuff comes into play. And so now, what do you think? Like looking at this as somebody like that's in this next generation, right? That's coming in first. The first thing I see is like, okay, number one, you have to realize that I have to figure out how to outpace inflation. How do I beat inflation? And then how do I minimize my taxes? That's number one. That's how you're gonna start building wealth right there. Figure out those ways to actually do that. And then I gotta and so now how do I outpace inflation? Well,
so you tell me this. Give me your ways on how you would attack this, and I'll give you mine. So
attack
give
it
me
in
your
terms
solution.
of
Give me your solution to this problem.
well, I don't really necessarily have a set solution because when I look at it myself, right, this is why ownership is key, right, for everything that you actually have. So you have to realize that personally and transparently, your job is only going to give you so much, right? This is what I'm seeing when I look at this. Your job is only going to give you a set amount of money each and every year. It's only going to go up 3/10 every year or two, right? And it's barely keeping up with inflation. So you have to realize that the tax code, right, it benefits business owners. So this is where being a business owner comes in, so you can get those tax write-offs, right? And you putting yourself in a position to make more money. So you need to have more streams of income coming in so you can try to close this gap. Because if you do have a business, right, and you get those tax write-offs, you're going to end up getting those, you're going to end up getting those back, right? The money that your job is taxing, because most times your job is taxing you a whole lot more, right? Which is why people get refund checks. That's why people don't really understand. Like if you're getting a large refund check, especially if you're not a business owner, then that means you got taxed more than you needed to the past year. So that means that you got to figure out a way to be able to do that, because you really want to be, when you're really getting good, you want to kind of be even, or at least, you want to owe as little as possible to really break that even. So when I see this, I just think, hey, I gotta start a business and make it, and we can talk about what it means to start a business and what that kind of goes into and what a good business looks like in this economy. Because you want to make sure that demand and need for what you're doing, you don't want to just go out there and just do anything, right? Because if it's not scalable, If it's not profitable, it doesn't make any sense. And especially if another COVID hit, can it last through a COVID or a shutdown or something like that? So all those different things. But really, just this tells me I got to go out there and make some more money and figure out how I can start a business so I can get some of those tax write-offs and be able to bring in more money so I can outpace the inflation for the next 5 to 10 years, right? And be able to build that and scale it down. So that's what that really basically tells me. And I say that because I'm a business owner, and and as you are, and I've had those benefits, and there's been a change, right? When you actually do that and have that stuff set up, you know what I'm saying? Because like we're not gonna really be able to change the system, right? At least at one time, right? With it. So as far as what I can do for myself and what I advise other people to do, figure out how to start a business that you can scale, so that way you can get some of these benefits, these business owners are getting, right? People mad at Trump because he want to pay like $700 in taxes, but I mean he was a business owner, so he understands the tax code. So that's really all that is. So so he understood that, and there's a lot of other people, not just him. There's other people out here that understand the tax code and how to get those tax breaks. So you got to be able to do that to be able to, that will be the solution, the immediate solution for anybody that's listening or trying to figure out what they can personally do. Because on a large scale, it's going to be a little bit harder to say, let's change this policy, this policy, this policy. Let's do this, let's do that. No, and it's going to take so many years for it to take.
We got to put it into our hands. We got to take control of this because obviously nobody is coming to help. Nobody's coming to save anybody from this.
Nope.
So it's going to be up to us. And I wrote down a couple of notes. You said start a business. You said increase income and avoid taxes. That was like the 3 main things that I heard you say.
Yep.
And I agree with all 3 of those. But one thing I don't really agree with is start a business, because everybody doesn't necessarily need to start a business, but because everybody ain't built like that. Let's just be
that's true
upfront and
that's
honest.
Very true.
Like, everybody ain't built to be an entrepreneur. Like that's a very tough thing to do. Because we both own businesses right now.
Right.
You have your financial service business. I have a car dealership and a real estate business. So, and they're very hard, and it's very competitive. But I do think that everybody should own a business, which goes into buying stocks, or buying real estate, owning assets that, appreciate over time, things that can be liquidated, pretty easily as well. Like stocks can be liquidated a lot quicker than real estate. So I would say,
right.
If you're getting started early, definitely get some stocks. And then as you like growing your expertise and knowledge and experience, then you can start getting into real estate,
And as a disclaimer, this is in no way any financial advice, right?
This is just
no
suggestions.
This is just general knowledge,
yeah.
Right? Because like I say, I'm a licensed professional, so I'm not giving any specific advice.
Ideas.
Everybody, has to be able to, like you said, invest in some assets, and that depends on, your risk, the amount of risk you want to have, your personal situation.
You basically told me shut the hell up.
I was just putting a disclaimer out there, man. This is good information, but don't say we told you go do something specific with your money. I ain't do that. I didn't do that. I'm just saying this is what we looking at. This is how we dissecting it. This is what I advise everybody to do. This is what I advise everybody to do. Get with a financial professional. Get with somebody that knows what they're doing, because they're going to help you with your situation, right? And be able to put you in that position and be able to give you all the information you need to make the best informed decision possible and give you your options, right? So that's where you got to start at.
I would say my top, I'm gonna give you 4. So my top 4 was decrease your expenses. That's the number one big easy thing that I see looking at this graph that we need to do. Mm-hmm. We got to decrease just the unnecessary spending. You can't have the lifestyle creep. As you start making more money, lifestyle creep is basically when, as you make more money, you start to buy more and more things. You start buying the cars, you start buying the shoes, the jewelry, things that you don't really necessarily need. We all like to enjoy our wealth and enjoy the money that we work hard for, but there's a limit to that, especially as you're getting started as a young person, building up your money and your finances. So that'll be the first thing that I would say. Decrease your expenses. Also, I'm gonna piggyback off Christian, increase your income, which kind of goes into making sure you're in the right vehicle as far as, you know, your career path, what you're doing for work, what you're doing throughout your day. If you have extra time outside of your 9 to 5, definitely pick up a side hustle or a side job if you can, just to have more and more income coming in. Because right now, with the rate of inflation and you look at these housing mortgage prices, you have to have more income, because that's how they even qualify you for, you know, a real estate loan or a real estate, you know, note. The only way you could do that is if your debt to income ratio is high enough, you know. Lastly, I would say avoid debt. So there's difference between good debt and bad debt. Like good debt would be, you know, buying a piece of land, you know, getting a loan for that, you know, and renting, you know, out of a piece of that land to where people are paying you on a monthly basis, to where they basically paying down a note for you.
Right.
A version of bad debt would be credit card debt, consumer debt, anything with a high interest payment to where you're not buying something that's going to generate any income, basically.
And that's and also when it comes to like bad debt, like not saying credit cards are about a bad thing, but it's your utilization of the credit card and what
Right.
you're using it
How
for.
you using it?
How you using it. So don't use your credit card to go pay off another credit card. That's the craziest thing in the world. Don't use your credit card to don't purchase depreciating assets. So no matter how nice that car looks, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it depreciates,
Right.
right? Only those certain vehicles that will actually appreciate over time. And most people, over 85% of people, I'll say 95% of people can't afford those type of vehicles. Right?
Right.
As long as you got something that can get you from point A to point B, right? You good. That's all you need.
And I'm
Right?
speaking from experience. I'm not trying to say like I'm the financial guru. I'm not a financial guru. This ain't even a financial network per se. This is just us speaking on experience, you know, of things that we done went through and failures that we done had. You know, I done had times where I bought something that I wasn't supposed to get at the time, but I used credit card to get it. Then now I'm looking at myself a few months later, selling it back, you know, trying to get rid of it, you know, so I could pay off this credit card because I'm trying to qualify
Same.
for a loan or something like that. You know,
Same.
like we done all been through it. And
Right.
we're not trying to speak from like this place where we like talking down. We just trying to give solutions so that you ain't got to go through the same thing that we done been through.
We're trying to get free game right now.
Right.
That's really what we're trying to do.
That's it, bro. But yeah, let's get
Yeah,
this thing
man.
back on. We could just do a couple more minutes.
$100 because of an
Yeah.
acceleration in interest rates and the fact that the average home has gone from 290,000 to 420. By the way, the most expensive homes in the world, based on this metric, are number 3, Vancouver. Why? Because 60% of the cost of building a home goes to permits. Because guess what? The incumbents that own assets have weaponized government to make it very difficult for new entrants to ever get their own assets, thereby elevating their own net worth. This is the transfer I'm going to be speaking about. This has resulted in an enormous transfer of wealth, where people over the age of 70 used to control 19% of household income, versus people under the age of 40 used to control 12. Their wealth has been cut in half. This isn't by accident, it's purposeful. This is me at UCLA in 1987. I know your first thought is I haven't changed a bit. In half. So this isn't by accident, it's purposeful.
So when you look at that graph right there, what do you see? What sticks out to you? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Kind of like so what, based on my knowledge and what I've known and what I educate, right? Because I'm about financial education. When I look at this, what I'm seeing is that not only, because he mentioned that everybody under 40, especially within this past year or so, the wealth since 1989 has been cut in half, but you see that everybody over 70, their wealth has increased also just about by the same amount, right? So that means for me that we have to realize that there is we're in a weird period right? And so like this thing started with the baby boomers, right? Because during this time, that's who was controlling all the wealth, right? That's who got to be able to take advantage of everything early on. Microsoft, Apple, housing, the car industry, all that stuff. So when I see this, it just tells me, right, as a young person, whatever you can get a hold of, and especially as an asset, right, and you're in a position to do so, you need to get it, because eventually over time in this next 20, 30 years, you're going to be the one that's holding all the wealth. Because guess what? All those baby boomers, right, they control over 50% of the wealth right now in the economy, which is why that looks like that, right? And as time goes on, right, they turn 65 every day. So that wealth is about to transfer, but who's it going to go to?
Right.
It's got to come to the next generation. So you got to ask yourself, am I in a position to when that wealth begins to transfer, am I in a position to actually do what I need to do to have these assets, to make sure my financial house is in order? Am I hitting on everything as far as my finances? And just making sure that I'm in a position to own something. Ownership is key, right? Ownership is the real key, right? And you got to figure out what you can own, because eventually you're making sure what you can own appreciates over time, going back to, purchasing appreciating assets. So for anybody right now, I feel like for me, this says that, okay, even though I'm under 40 and the share of household wealth by age is here right now, and I don't own, a lot of us don't own a lot of it, that doesn't mean that wealth's not going to come to me at some point, because it has to go somewhere. It's like energy, right? I don't have sick days, money don't take vacations, none of that. So it's going to move somewhere. So you got to make sure you're in a position to own and receive some money, right? Own some assets. Because eventually that's going to be us in the next 30, 40, 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. I was gonna say, when I look at this, I kind of see like opportunity too at the same time,
right.
and that just kind of goes into like perspective as well. Because if you really think about it, the opportunity would be reaching out to people who are of that age or people who own that wealth and figuring out if there's ways that you can, receive some of that transfer. Because there's going to be situations where some of these 70-year-olds either don't have kids, or their kids, aren't really involved in their life, or their kids aren't, ready to even be in position to receive, things that they have, and we can be those people that kind of come in and offer solutions like for their real estate. Some of these people going to be going into like nursing homes and different kind of assisted living housing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they
And
might
most
own a
people,
whole bunch of land. You never know.
and then most of them just want to chill. Really, they don't
Right.
really care about all that by the time they get to that age. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like they like, bro, I just want to chill. So sometimes a lot of people that I know, or that I have had encounters with, they usually sell off a lot of stuff because they just want to chill. Like they don't want to have control over all that other stuff, and they cool with having their needs just be met for real.
Right.
Especially don't have kids or anything else like that to be taken care of anymore. So you got to realize that stuff, it got to go somewhere. So you want to do your best to be in a position, right? It's all about positioning right now. So that's where the mindset kind of comes in. Like, don't think that this is because of these numbers and because of the state of the economy right now that it's not possible. No, they at one point in time, those people were our age in the same exact position that we were in, but except they saw an opportunity and took advantage of it. So you got to realize when everybody's in a state of fear, right? That's when the most millionaires are made. That's where the most success comes, right? Especially when we talk about the economy, we talk about money, talk about stocks, all that stuff, right? So you can't get afraid when things look down. You actually have to get more excited. You have to be more positive, right? And looking for those opportunities, because a lot of people are looking at this right now, like, okay, this is another chance for me to get right back in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this doesn't even talk about the those people that are in between that 40 to 50 range, between 40 and 50. Those are people that's in the position to go ahead and hop on some of this stuff right now, because
Exactly.
that's like the millennials, right? That's those people, right? That's sitting that little gap in between there. So even for the people that's in their 20s and stuff like that, there's opportunities to go and make some things work. You just have to go out and reach out to these people. You know what I'm saying? And get and make sure you in a position to own some stuff, because that can be you in the next 30, 40 years, right? It
Exactly.
ain't gonna that's temporary. This is a temporary position. It ain't gonna last forever. So
Yeah, man. That's really all I had, bro. I just wanted to kind of hit on this topic because it resonated with me when I saw it. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
You rolling.
Yes, sir. We can end the go ahead and end it. But now I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, watch that again if y'all liked it. And we're gonna have more content coming to y'all. Have a great night.
Peace.